my name is Tom Hayes, Director of Customer and Community Relations for New Jersey Natural Gas, and your host for Community Connections here at SCAN, a wonderful program where we talk to folks in the community and learn about their wonderful organizations. Today, I'm very happy to say we have with us Jerry Rosenthal, who's the CEO and President of the Monmouth County SPCA, and he's going to talk to us about all the wonderful programs that they offer. So Jerry, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Great to be here, Tom. It's good to have an opportunity to talk about the great programs and services the Monmouth County SPCA offers the community here.
Which is great. We know you do wonderful things in the community, and so many of us that are pet lovers and just love animals in general really appreciate all the good work that you do. So that's an excellent thing that we have in our community. So since you're here, I'm sure you will want to tell us a little bit about your mission, what you really do at the SPCA.
Well, clearly, the Monmouth County SPCA has been serving this community since 1945, providing, basically being advocates for the animals here. Mm-hmm. Most people know us from doing adoptions, right. But many people may not realize that we also have a functioning spay-neuter clinic where we did 6,500 surgeries last year. Wow. We do humane education in the schools. We provide pet therapy to assisted living facilities. And one of the programs that I'm particularly proud of, we started right after Superstorm Sandy in terms of a pet food pantry, providing food to individuals going through difficult times so they don't have to surrender their animals. Last year we served over 1,100 families, and we estimate we're able to keep over 400 animals in their homes.
Wow, that's amazing. When you think of that, because most of us think of food pantries for the families and all that sort of thing, but then there is that beloved pet that if they're not getting some help with that, what do, right?
Absolutely. So, we found, in terms of partnering with some of the human food banks here, that approximately 50% of the people who are coming into the human food banks have pets. And oftentimes they're forced to make, or feel that they're forced to make difficult decisions. And mm-hmm. So it's a win-win for everyone, because it's a win-win for the family to keep, a beloved pet in their home, especially, mm-hmm. In terms of keeping some constancy. And it's a win-win for us because, quite frankly, we don't have the space to hold all these animals.
Right, right. Now, is there? It sounds like you just mentioned that you're opening a food pantry, or for the pets, pet food pantry. Is there, in these conversations with like the food banks and all that, any possibility that you can actually join there, like use their locations where people are already coming for food and then be able to get a supplement for their pet food?
Oh, absolutely. We've done that on occasion. We've worked with both the lunch break and the food bank. We've worked with the Visitation Relief Center down in Brick, who are still dealing with people from Sandy and providing not only an off-site food distribution center, but also periodically having a vaccine clinic for the people, for the animals, they're owned by the people being served by that community.
That's great.
So
wow. So you said I think you're over 1,000 families are involved with
last
that.
Year, yeah.
Is that just with the food pantry?
Just for food pantry.
How about overall with the whole organization? How many families or pets?
Well, it's hard. Last year we adopted out over 3,000 animals.
Wow.
We then provided did about 6,500 spay-neuter surgeries.
Wow.
We offer a low-cost vaccine clinic every Friday, which probably several hundred people come to in our Eatontown facility. And in addition to that, what we've done, I mentioned humane education. We probably have volunteers going out to 100 different school locations, as
Excellent.
Well as assisted living facilities.
Wow.
So,
and I know with you said over 3,000 adoptions?
Yes.
That's incredible. And I know that you do some of that work with Lou and Liz on the Point radio station, right?
That's true. And we try to promote our programs and services throughout the community. They've been very helpful in terms of spreading the word about what we do, because I'm all about impact. And if we can reach a greater audience, provide more services, and really, because ultimately our role is promoting responsible pet ownership.
Right, sure, of course.
And it goes across the board. And every organization has to evolve over time. We started off, back in 1945 doing adoption. Back then, spay and neuter wasn't as common as it is now.
Right.
So, but in terms of being relevant, we've had to adjust and adapt. One of the things that we've done is open up some satellite adoption centers in high traffic areas because people are, quite frankly, very busy. So if you're going to want to impact somebody, you need to be where they are. And so almost 3 years ago, we opened up an adoption center at the Freehold Raceway Mall. That's been very successful. And just recently, we opened one up in Middletown on Route 35, connection right next to the Petco store.
Excellent.
So
that's great, because I know, like, we've had family pets, and we always go to the SPCA or an organization like that to get, as opposed to buying them at a store, just because we know the need is there, and there's you always have had a wonderful selection anytime I've been there. So it's nice, and it's amazing that you do that much. And again, knowing Lou and Liz and all that, I know they do a lot in that program, which is nice. And I know Lou is often trying to get Liz adopted off the show, but so far it hasn't happened.
He's still working on it.
She's lovely. But,
one of the other great things about our organization, and I go back to impact, we're obviously, as a nonprofit organization, we have limited resources, and we're able to do so much because we have such a dedicated group of volunteers. So we have probably over 300 volunteers who come in on a periodic basis. Some are there 5 days a week, others once a month, but still in terms of people maybe cat socializers or adoption counselors, or may help out with our customer service or walking the dogs. But
Amazing.
It's a great opportunity, and it really helps us do what we do so well.
Which is great, and obviously it's a very necessary organization here in our county, of course, around the country. So how do you fund your operation?
We are a private organization, self-funded, so we receive no funding from any national organization. Many people think we're somehow affiliated with the ASPCA. We're not. The designation of the SPCA just means that we enforce the animal cruelty laws here in New Jersey, in Monmouth County.
Right.
So, and probably most of your viewers, will see articles in the newspapers. That's really when they see we're in action. We have a group of both 2 paid staff, the rest volunteers, who go out on these calls, and it's a vital area of what we do in trying to promote responsible pet ownership. And sometimes it's important, I think, that the viewers understand that a lot of times some of these situations can be headed off by providing information to us earlier on, so we can help people. Sometimes people, a lot of the cases are people who get overwhelmed and don't know.
They mean well, they're well-intentioned, but
they don't know where to seek help.
Right.
And if they had contacted us or other social service organizations,
sooner,
the animals wouldn't have suffered.
Right. Which is a great message, as you said. So for our viewers or anyone to if you notice something, speak up. Maybe talk to the owner. If you're not comfortable, they could always contact you and say, could somebody go out and check this situation, whatever it might be, right, to make sure, which is important. That's good. Now, do you have a relationship with like county or other local governments in terms of the work that you do?
Well, we certainly coordinate our investigations with the county and with local municipalities, but we receive no funding from them. Again, basically half of our funding comes from private donations. The other half come from the fees and services that we charge, whether adoption or from our clinic or so forth. So we rely exclusively, on the generosity of the public to help us continue what we're doing. Right. And one of the things I think that really distinguishes us as an organization is that we're dedicated to saving every adoptable animal, and no matter how long it takes. If we will only put an animal down for medical or behavior reasons.
Right.
And a great example was just recently a dog that had been with us for 2 years found its forever home, but we gave the animal the time to find because we thought there was some out there. Maybe it needed a special type of home environment, but we were willing to give the effort, and they did that. So I mean, I think we're an open mission shelter, which means we take in every animal that comes in from our community and that we serve. Some organizations are known as, are managed admissions or limited admissions, or they may be defined as no-kill shelters. But, the interesting fact about that is they're able to say that because they only take the animal they want.
Right.
So I think, we take a broader perspective here in
that's
terms
important.
of helping.
I think that's important for our viewers and listeners to know that that's what you do in particular. You go that extra step to accept all animals.
Absolutely.
No matter their situation, and try to really find them a home or help them to get better, whatever it might take.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
That's great. Now, when you talk about donors and certainly volunteers and all that, I would imagine you would probably want folks to know how to get a hold of you, right? Or where to go if they want to make a donation or volunteer. So do you have like a contact phone number and a website?
Yes, our phone number is 732-542-0040 is our main location in Eatontown. And our website is Monmouth County SPCA, Monmouth County spelled out, .org. On there, you can learn about upcoming events, there's your ability to donate online, as well as to see when the next volunteer orientation meetings are. We have them every other month. So,
so folks can get trained on being volunteers and really know the situation.
Absolutely, and social media is very important too. As we have 31,000 followers on Facebook.
Excellent.
And we connect through there a lot of not only events but just good news in terms of if a difficult adoption takes place.
Right, like you said, the one after 2 years, right?
Or updates on animals that have been adopted in the past. It's a great way, and people follow us on that. So, and then throughout the year, we have a couple major fundraising events. Probably most people know of our annual dog walk, which we hold at Brookdale Community College.
That's great.
And usually in April of each year. In addition to that, we have a Valentine's brunch, a furball gala. So all that information can be found on our website.
Right, which is great. So it's excellent, all the work that you do. Certainly the cause is excellent as well. Now, you gave us the phone number and the website. Is there any address that you'd like to provide?
Oh, sure. Our main location is 260 Wall Street here in Eatontown. Yep. But as I mentioned, we have satellite locations on the first floor of the Freehold Raceway Mall, right next to Sears, as well as up in Middletown, right next to the Petco store on Route 35.
Great. Well, again, I want to thank you for your time. Certainly, again, you and your organization really does provide an important service in our community, and it's really great to have you with us. SCAN, we have a lot of folks here that might be interested in doing some sort of community service or being involved as volunteers, because, again, we have a great membership, great group of folks here at SCAN, and they're always happy to get involved in the community. So I wish you lots of luck, continue the good work, and hopefully we'll see you in the future.
Thanks, Tom, for this opportunity.
Thank you. And we'll be right back after this commercial with another segment of the show. Thank you.
Now's a great time to make your home more energy efficient, and the New Jersey Natural Gas Save Green project is here to help. Take advantage of rebates and incentives up to $15,000, designed to make your whole house more comfortable, improve performance, and save you money. Upgrade your older, inefficient heating equipment, central air conditioning system, and water heater with money-saving, high-efficiency equipment. But don't stop there. Your new equipment will have to work harder, wasting energy dollars if your home is not properly weatherized, by reducing air and duct leaks and installing proper insulation. Call the Save Green Project at 877-455-NJNG or visit SaveGreenProject.com, and we'll help you get on the road to maximum energy efficiency and savings, and explain how you may qualify for up to $15,000 in rebates and incentives. Call Save Green at 877-455-NJNG.
All right, welcome back to SCAN's Community Connections. Again, I'm Tom Hayes, Director of Customer and Community Relations for New Jersey Natural Gas, and your host of the program. We're really happy to have with us Adam Philipson, who is the CEO and President of the Count Basie Theatre in Red Bank. And it's really great to have you here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're looking forward to learning more and more about all the wonderful things you do at the Count Basie.
On the stage and then behind the scenes.
Yeah, so first of all, tell me, how long have you been with the Count Basie now?
It's been a little over 2 years. I got here a couple of days before Sandy hit.
Wonderful.
And, hit our wonderful town. And so it was an interesting time to arrive, actually, just because it was a moment of change that we really felt that it was the perfect time to really let the community understand what we do for the community besides just sort of the theater and the shows that we put on.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, it is a beautiful theater, and again, I've been fortunate enough to be in there several times for different shows and all that. Tell me about the artistic impact that you've had there, and folks like name recognition kinds of things.
Sure. It's interesting. The theater was built in 1926. It was a movie theater by Walter Reed, and so it was called the Carlton at first. And so there was a real there's a history there. I mean, everyone for the most part in the region, that was probably the first place they saw their movie. For many people, it was the first place they had a kiss up in the balcony. I mean, it was really first date, and then concerts began to happen, and speakers and things of that nature. And so there's just a deep history in that sense of everyone has a connection to the Count Basie Theatre, or its predecessor, as it was called, the Carlton. And then there was all these great musicians that are from this area that we know about. The Bruces and the Bon Jovis and Bobby Bandiera and Glenn Burtnick and all these great guys that were playing in the area. And so as the theater and as they grew up and began to become much more famous, they started to play there. So there were concerts in the 70s and the 80s and up through the present. And so there's just this deep connection. There's this connection to the Jersey music scene, on the music side.
Sure.
And there's a great history.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting it started as a movie theater because you do stage productions there. So I've heard of theaters that started out as stage and switched to movie theaters. So it's interesting that it kind of started that way as a theater and then was able to be transformed, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, they built it. It was also a vaudeville house secondary, and that was happening across the state where there were all these venues that were coming up. And then just recently, what we've been able to do, we had a great family that came on board and said, we want to bring movies back. So they helped us a couple of years ago renovate the 35mm projectors. So we started to show movies again, and then realized that the studios were changing, and any film that's coming out now is all digital. So we about a year and a half ago, we ended up having that be the focus of our summer gala that we do, and it was to get the Basie into the 21st century. And so we have a state-of-the-art digital projector, and now the films that we start showing much more, a bigger presence with films now. So kind of coming back to our roots and making sure that we haven't left that great history that we started with.
Well, as any organization evolves, the more that you can do that continues to be in the realm of what you do in terms of entertainment, in your case, is great. So the fact that you can show first-run movies, whatever you want to do, it adds another component and activity to a very important theater in our area. So it keeps you vibrant and right in the mix of things. So that's a great thing.
Funny story. We were showing Hard Day's Night. There was the relaunch of the film. And it was digitized, and we happened to be at a meeting because we were trying to meet with Stevie Van Zandt from the E Street Band and ask him if he would help us with something and be our first Vanguard recipient of an award that we wanted to present for people that have really made a lifelong contribution to the arts. So we're sitting in there, and he starts telling us this story. I was at the Carlton. I used to go to the movie all the time. My first movie I saw. Now that night we were showing the movie Hard Day's Night. My first movie I saw was Hard Day's Night, and the girls were up there running to the screen. And so talk about that historic connection. So
that's
totally
pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Did you get him back in the theater that night to see it again?
He didn't come that night, but he told us we could say from the stage that was his first movie.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of things that I'm sure that folks know if they know the Count Basie, that they know about it. But what are some things they may not know about the Count Basie?
It's interesting. We spend a lot of time, and since I've been here, we've really been trying to push front and center the fact that we are this community change agent and that we're making a difference in kids' lives and that we have an outreach and education program, which you don't always know. You know, you look at our calendar of events, you see the great shows that we're bringing, which it's been more than ever. We do about 200 shows a year between rentals and shows that we self-produce or self-present. And it's all kinds of, you know, from drama to concerts to opera. But what we do every day, besides the concerts at night, is that we're doing classrooms in the schools, and we are bringing, busing students to the theater in order to see world-class performances during the matinees. And then we have our own Performing Arts Academy where we're teaching drama and music and public speaking and dance and drumming and all these types of things. So and there's just a tremendous amount of community. We do training for teachers. We do professional development for teachers as a partnership through the Kennedy Center. So these are all the things that I start telling people these stories over a meeting or lunch, and they go, really? They had no idea. So we've been really putting a much more concerted effort into making sure that people know that, because A, it's available for the community, and many times it's funded and it's free and there's scholarships available, and it's just important that people know that.
No, it's great, and I know, you know, I've had the good fortune to learn some of that, and I know the company has been supportive,
Very supportive.
in at least some ways to try to help with that, but it really is important for folks to know that, and I hope our viewers and our listeners really get a better understanding of the fact that the Count Basie isn't just doing its shows to raise money for itself. It's actually doing all these wonderful things that are really helping the community improve. And you know, we talk about the quality of life, and you know, that really does help dramatically in terms of getting kids that exposure. And we know, unfortunately, in a lot of the school systems, a lot of the arts are kind of being pushed to the side as, you know, other curriculum needs to be taken care of. And we talk about things like these tests that have to be done and all that. But, you know, it's great to have an outlet for these kids to actually go and really learn culture and be exposed to a whole nother world that I think is, in a lot of cases, much more interesting than
you're totally right.
basic math class.
You know, it's the first thing that's cut, which is always the saddest.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the studies, finally now, they're beginning to have these longevity studies that are showing, after we've already, in some ways, missed 2-3 generations, the power of the arts, you know, the ability to think outside the box, problem solve, work as a team, you know, appreciate and accept and have an interest in other cultures and other people. You know, I mean, these are skill sets that are required to handle, I think, the problems that we face every day. And unfortunately, it's hard to get that in a class where it's about, you know, math or science, unless, and what we try to do is integrate the arts into those curriculums so that we're not asking the teachers to give up science because we know the kids need to learn that. But maybe you can use the arts as a tool to teach certain lessons, and that's what we've been trying to incorporate.
It's definitely true. I mean, any of us, I think most of us learn better by, you know, being more visual or being sort of entertained as we're learning. You know, it just makes life much more interesting. And I think in today's generations, kids are so much more exposed to the media and internet and you know, texting and phones and all these sorts of things that it's hard to compete with that. And the same old kind of teaching styles are difficult. So providing some of that performing arts and some of that culture into their learning day, I think is really an important asset for all of our students.
That's great. And you know, and sometimes we're fortunate and there's a child that we give an opportunity and they find a path for themselves and you know, they may end up having a career in the arts, and many have come out of the Basie that have moved on into a career. But you know, the story that you need to tell also is the student who, you know, they may never have a career in the arts, but for the first time they were accepted and part of a group. You know, the way sports can do that. And the arts has that same power.
Which is great. And now, as we're talking about the Count Basie in the past, tell me a little bit about the future. What do you see for the future of the Count?
You know, we have, one of the things that's great, we have a phenomenal board of directors and trustees that have taken just a lifelong interest in the theater. And a couple of times there was some land that had opened up on each side of the theater. So we do have the land on both sides, so the back of the house and the side of and the front of the house. And the plan is to really expand and move into this beautiful, you know, full city block, really a regional center. So we have a tremendous amount that has to happen. I mean, if you've been there lately, you can see inside. Since 2008, there was a phenomenal renovation.
Yes, absolutely.
And so prior to that, if you remember, there used to be nets on the ceiling that was catching plaster that was falling. And now it's gorgeous in there, but if you go to the back of the stage, that hasn't been touched since 1926. So it still has the old hemp rope system. And, you know, you have these guys that are backstage that are pulling the ropes up. And so, you know, that needs to be fixed. The dressing rooms haven't been touched. There's a tremendous amount of work because, you know, we feel that as a for the artists that come in, and for the students that if this is the first place that they're experiencing being in front of a live audience and on the stage, they deserve to be in an environment that's world class as well. You want students and future artists and the artists that are the headliners that are coming, you want them to be in a world class environment front and back of the stage.
And it's interesting because you do need the front of the stage to look right because you're attracting the customers.
Of course.
You want them to have a wonderful experience. So for them, most of us who go through that would have no clue that there's work need to be done behind. You just assume everything's done.
Totally.
But you need to get them in. You want them to have a great experience. You want them to be in awe as they look at that beautiful facility.
Absolutely.
So I think it is kind of the way it has to be done. But
you do that first.
Now you got that, so you got the income coming in, and now you can use some of those dollars to repair the
hopefully,
rest of it.
that, and and obviously there'll always be future fundraising, and people don't realize that like other nonprofits, there are tickets, and it's a portion of what we use to to subsist, but otherwise there's fundraising and membership and sponsorships and all these great ways that the community help us to be able to maintain this world-class facility.
And speaking of that, when it comes to folks, like I'm sure you have volunteers, you also have folks that you want to donate and help support the wonderful theater. Can you give us some of that contact, like phone number and website?
Oh yeah, no, sure, absolutely. 732 224-8778 is our phone number, and then from there you get to whether you want to go buy tickets or go to our development office or our marketing department or me or however you want to do that. And then our website is Count Basie Theatre, and you spell that out, and theater is Theatre. We use the old English version, and then .org.
Great.
That's our website.
And the address again?
Address is 99 Monmouth Street, right down there in downtown Red Bank.
Right, which is great. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. Hopefully folks will really get out there. And, when it comes to donations and all that sort of thing, do you have like events annually that come up that folks can help support?
Absolutely, we do. We have all kinds of things that are, depending upon what your interest is, some of these events that we have where we're raising money specifically for the kids, or the outreach, or our partnership programs, where we're able to scholarship kids to become a new rock star or jazz musician.
Great.
And then we do a winter gala where it's very intimate on stage, very, very unique and different experience. We do that usually in January, and then in the summer, usually it's the end of June, we do our major rock star gala. And we do that every year, and we've had some phenomenal artists, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and last year we had Ringo Starr, and this year we will have a good one as well.
That's great. That's great. Again, it's such a wonderful venue, and it's if folks haven't seen it, they really need to get in there, and it's a gem. But it's not a place you just want to go once.
No.
You want to go back, and you want to become a member, and you want to be involved, and try to see as many shows as possible, because you do great work. There's a lot of effort that goes into putting on these shows, and these artists are phenomenal. So here it is, right in our backyard. So
it's a community treasure.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the folks here at SCAN, I'm sure, enjoy and appreciate that facility.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll get more. So
hopefully.
I do want to say again, thank you for being here with us and giving us some insight into the theater, both past and present. And we're looking forward to enjoying more and more shows there. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And again, Adam, it's really just been a pleasure meeting you. And I'm sure our listeners and viewers are very happy to hear more information about all the wonderful things going on at the Count Basie in Red Bank. And for you, I just say, again, keep up the good work. You got a great staff there, and hope to see you more and more in the future.
Thank you. Really appreciate the time.
All right, pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching.